Welcome to Chamber Talk. I want to say a special thank you to Mr. Royce Hall for joining me today, and we want to say thank you for joining us today. And we got a very important topic to discuss with you today. Royce and I have been working together now for several months on the 2020 census count that's coming up, and I hope that people, I'd like Royce to think that people don't think, man, I'm so tired of hearing about census, but I want people to be excited about census, because census is exciting, because it's data, it's knowledge, it's power, and more importantly for Dublin and Lawrence County, it's money, and it's a lot of money.
Amen.
So let's talk a little bit to start with about some of the things that are already underway. If you would kind of recap the last few months and what's been going on to prepare for this census count.
I'm glad to. Several months we've been meeting, as you have said, and we're coming together, trying to bring all the municipalities together, trying to bring the community together. And again, it's all about partnership. Partnership and trying to get everybody to do their part. And census, the overall census said we want to shape our future. And so what we're doing, we had our last meeting, we talked about a few things that we want to try to go out into the community. The last few meetings we've been inside the meeting, and now we want to try to reach out to schools. We're going to try to reach out to the Board of Education and see if we can get them to put some information out there for census. Kids can help. Kids help boost the economy anyway, because mom and dad, I want this.
Right.
So they can get parents' attention. So we're trying to reach out to the youth so that they can get their parents to fill their census forms out. And also we have some ideas came up as far as going to hotels. People are traveling, and we want to put brochures, and we want to put flyers at hotels, and that way they can also see what's going on. And we did talk about parades and government putting it up in their businesses about letting the people know about census. And then also, of course, I talked to our city manager. I think I mentioned it last time. Is everybody receive a city water bill as far as that part, and everybody receive a tax bill. So hopefully we can talk with the governments about putting information into their packets, so that information can be put out.
Right. I think that's important, Royce, and I also think sporting events, concerts, anything, anywhere, anybody, again, if you're watching this show, you're important, and you can help us with this initiative, and you're helping us help yourself. But I do also want to back up and say thank you to all of the folks who have been coming to the Complete Count Committee meetings, and we do have a good list of probably 25 or 30 folks that come to those. 36.
Right.
But I also want to reach out again and extend the invitation. If you live in one of the surrounding communities, whether it be Dexter, Dudley, Rents, Montrose, Cadwell, East Dublin, anywhere else, and encourage your leadership to attend these meetings. And we would also encourage you to attend these meetings and take this information back into your community. Again, because when these census numbers come in, and maybe sometimes people wonder, well, how come this community or that community gets money and gets to grow and they're flourishing and they're thriving? Well, some of it relates back to the census. And the money that's coming in, because that money is then allocated depending on the counts, if I'm correct.
It's depending on the counts. And, it's kind of like law of supply and demand. If you don't fill the census form out, you're hurting the community. You're hurting yourself. That's you represent a certain amount of money, and when you add up everybody together as a collective number, that's a lot of money that can be. Now the word I'm gonna use is earmark, that the federal government can have set aside for this area. Now, if we do have, say for instance, we'll say Lawrence County. If the last census, I think it was like 48,000 people in 2010. If we have 48,000 people and only 45 or 40 fill out the census form, we have thrown money away. And that's money that we cannot use because the census is going to basically say we don't have 48 because only 45 of y'all did, even though we know they're 48.
And
so
not only have we thrown away revenue, but we've thrown away representation
congressional seats
as well. So,
exactly.
Royce, we need to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to get into a little more definitive numbers and statistics and things that we can share people again to reiterate just how important this census count is going to be, and the date's coming up pretty soon.
Real soon.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Is your internet slowing your business down? If so, call the City of Dublin for our fiber optic based internet, 478-296-1008.
Welcome back to the show, Royce. Right before the break, we started talking a little bit about numbers and statistics, and I want you to help me out along the way here. I'm a little bit familiar with some of this. I believe one of the numbers you and I found and bounced around with some of the census people was approximately $2,300 per person for Lawrence County, and then of course you multiply that
Times
for a census every 10 years.
Every 10 years.
So $23,000 per person.
Per person, right.
And then you can do the math on that even to say if there's, let's just say 400 or 500 people in Lawrence County who don't get counted. Now we're talking about millions of dollars.
Right.
And so that's just an example of how much money would not come back. Now, we did try to figure out, we talked a little bit during the break about, I want to say the number that the U.S. Census is allowed or allocated is about $765 million or somewhere in that ballpark that is going to be dispersed. And again, how much of that money Lawrence County is going to receive totally depends on our participation. If we don't participate, then that means the neighboring community gets more.
Right. Yeah, I guess you kind of like saying it in a sense, we're leaving money on the table.
Absolutely.
And that's not good for the community.
And you have one chance to get this money. We can't come back a year from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now and say, hey, we forgot to add some people. So one of the other tools that the U.S. Census has given us to help with is called, the acronym is ROAM.
ROAM.
Explain that a little bit to our viewers, and let's talk a little bit, Royce, make sure folks know how they can access 2020 census data.
Yes, ROAM is a software. Basically, it stands for Response Outreach Area Mapping. It's kind of a software that target areas. In other words, after the last census that was done in 2010, there was a low response rate. And so right now, they're giving us a chance to fix that. And by fixing that's what we're doing now. We're trying to promote, engage, and educate people that they need to fill the census out. So we're going to go to those areas. So you can use this software to go online, and this software will pull up a map, and it's an active map that when you put your mouse over that area, it will tell you what the low response rate is.
So it'll give you the actual count the last time the census was taken.
Right. It'll do a percentage, and that percentage, you want to keep a low number on that, but at the same time, we want it where everybody when the next census come, which is 2030, this next people, whoever's over it, we can say, hey, they did their job. The citizens, not just the committee, the citizens did their job.
Right.
That's the main thing. And so that's what this software will do. It kind of give you a projection and show you how to respond to the neighbors.
And I think it's fair to say, Royce, when we looked at those areas, the city of Dublin did a decent job and I want to say 80%, somewhere along in there, which on a national average fit right in.
Right, 79 on national.
But as soon as you get outside of the city of Dublin, we have trouble.
Right.
We're in the 70 percentile in a lot of those, which means if they're going to give us $1 million, well, we're saying, well, we only want 700,000.
Right.
In essence.
Right. So
that's where our efforts have to be concentrated to make sure again that we reach out to our neighbors, and just as important that our neighbors are reaching out to us, and all of us together are one, and we're Lawrence County, and we're saying, hey, let's make sure Lawrence County benefits from this in every way possible.
Right. And rural areas, I do want to say that rural areas are a hard place to get because it's spread out. Sometimes people may get mail lost, the mail may get lost. We'll say that may happen. But at the same time, they're going to be a response team after the census to go out to the rural areas. But as we talked about in our last census complete count committee, that was a topic that was brought up, that we need to reach out to those rural areas. Of course, we're reaching out to the county and we're reaching out to other municipalities in those areas. But it's very important that we go to those areas that are low response, and that was kind of one of them, those rural areas.
Right.
So.
And we would love, Royce, I would love to bring some folks on the show, from the representatives from the neighboring communities, and have people talk about the initiatives and ways that they're going to get the word out into the community, whether it's neighborhood efforts, people can get together as a neighborhood community, a neighborhood watch, or whatever else it is, and go out and do some of the groundwork to educate again, promote, and for people to participate.
Right. I'm glad you said neighborhood watch. That's another great homeowners associations that people have in subdivisions is another way of getting those rural areas in that manner. But we will be talking to the police department here in Dublin that is taking an initiative on neighborhood watch, because they want crime to be down as far as that part. So while they have those neighbors there, when you reach about 5 neighbors, each one of them can reach about 10 more. So it's kind of like a domino effect. So.
Well, and Royce, we want to, it might be a different topic, but at the same time, it's not. So if you're tired of crime,